Um, so I was sharing that last part. You don't think the rule applies to everyone?
Say it again. My bad. What rule?
You don't think the no kill rule applies to everyone?
I don't think the no kill rule applies to everyone. Well, okay, per se, like okay. Well, obviously not, right? But more so, what I was saying to just explicate that even further is what I was saying. I was asking why would it, right? Why would it? Because no kill rule is not, it's not a universal binding axiom, right? That like every hero has to adopt identically, right? So if Batman's specific ethical constraints are tied to his psychology and his physiology, I mean his mentals, right, and his methods and his conception of justice, his specific conception of justice, then anybody who would try to go against that would first need to establish, the first thing they need to establish is that killing is universally impermissible in all contexts, or they'd have to establish that every hero operates under the exact same moral obligations, and neither of those are obviously true.
So you're just saying that. Well, one what I got from this. Um, here. I'm gonna just put this into question. Are you saying that Batman is, it is going to be this rule is going to be okay internally?
Oh, okay, well, I think it'll be consistent. Yeah, it'd be internally coherent. Sure. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
Do you care about this? I guess this framework you're holding to be like some sort of accurate description of reality. So it is true. It is true that this thing is going to be permissible or not permissible when in context of him unaliving individuals.
Well, what do you even mean by accurate depiction of reality,
Yeah.
right?
So for an example, if we have a framework and we say we have a moral framework, and under this moral framework, it says that removing harm for an entity
Well,
justifies
there's a
killing.
distinction between internal consistency with objective moral truth, though. Those are not
Objective moral.
identical. Those are
Well,
not identical.
no. Yeah, I realize that. That's why I asked you a separate question. That's why
Uh,
the separate question was asking on whether there is going to be something that also connects with reality and tracks reality. It can be inconsistent. It can be consistent internally and externally.
Well, the entire thing, a framework can be internally coherent without being universally or objectively correct, right? And to answer that more specifically, I think you're not really cashing out what tracks reality even means here, right? Because you could be saying that it
It depends
corresponds
on
to
your theory of
objective.
truth. It
You
depends
could
on.
be saying it corresponds to objective moral facts or practical success in the
We're
world,
saying that it
or
is the moral.
psychological realism, or even social stability, or even reduction of harm, right? And those are completely different categories or standards, right?
I
And
just brought
even
up
if a
reduction of harm in
framework
my
is
analogy.
internally, yeah, even if a framework is internally and externally coherent, that still doesn't automatically get you to, oh, Batman must kill, if that is the case.
That
If we're
wasn't the
trying to
claim.
go, no,
That was
I'm saying if we're trying to go that route.
no, that wasn't the claim. All I'm asking you, you're confused heavily. I don't know what you mean. So when we're talking about true tracking in the usual sense, let's say in reality, we're just usually referring to we're just usually referring to the correspondence theory of truth, or you can uphold to anyone that you would like to, I guess, true track the things in which we observe in reality. But in this context, it would be this narrative. So I'm just asking you, why is it going to be the case? I think the theory of truth here is going to be coherency, by the way. So, given that there's going to be a set of
Oh, my,
propositions that the author made.
oh, my phone's on 2%. Give me a second.
Okay.
All right, speak again.
Yeah. So,
Wait, hold on, bro. You're so low for some reason. What the fuck?
hello. All right,
It
bro.
should be good. Whatever. So I mean, I heard essentially a bit of what you're saying. You said that theory of truth is going to be coherence, right? But I think you're collapsing epistemic truth conditions into like narrative evaluation criteria. So and then like if your theory of truth is here, you said coherence, or what did you say?
Coherence.
Your theory of truth is coherence? Okay. If your theory of truth is coherence, then you're actually really committed yourself to just a position is true insofar as it coheres within a broader system, right?
Within the narrative, yes.
Okay, I think that's fine. But under that standard, Batman's no kill rule actually survives pretty well under
You said
the
what?
coherence with.
You said what?
Yeah, under that standard, Batman's no kill rule actually survives.
It actually survives.
Hmm.
So, so you're saying there's going to be some sort of pragmaticism, so it's coherent with systems. Um,
No,
so you grant
that's not what I'm saying.
that is what implied. That's not what you said directly, but that's
No, no,
what
no,
you're
yeah,
saying.
no. Yeah, let me specify what I'm saying. That's not what I'm implying either. That's really bad. So you're conflating coherence with pragmatism. That, like, I'm
No,
not using
no,
that, right? Coherence theory is not to say that whatever works best practically. That's not what
that's not what I
that's not what that's
said.
saying.
That's not what I
Wait,
said.
relax. I'm just specifying. I'm just specifying. So, anyways, so
That's a huge blunder.
it's about whether, yeah, coherence in this case is just about whether the beliefs and the principles and the commitments, right? They fit consistently with a wider system without contradiction, right? So when I say Batman no kill rule coheres, I'm just meaning that it fits his broader moral outlook and it aligns with his self conception and it connects consistently to his view of justice and authority, right? It's not to say that it produces the best outcomes at all.
The thing here is that when I'm bringing up pragmaticism, I'm just talking about these, I guess, propositions being upheld to some sort of practice in which we determine these things to be true or false. So when we're talking about propositions in a sense, we can use pragmaticism to refer to propositions in some sort of sense in which that's not directly referring to some sort of ontic reality. It's just another way to talk about it. It's an extension of pragmatism. So it really doesn't matter upon what you said. You said that this thing is going to survive externally from the framework. So there's going to be some sort of
Wait, I didn't say
uh,
that. I didn't say that.
you literally. So do you care about the external framework or not?
I didn't say that like that. That didn't come out of my mouth. So listen, you're basically what you're doing here is just blurring. Relax. You're basically what you're doing is just blurring categories together, right? So saying something survives externally does not suddenly mean that I'm endorsing pragmatism as the truth condition of the framework. If I were to
I
say
didn't
it
say that
survives
either.
externally,
I
hold
didn't
on.
say that either.
Can I speak? Can I speak? You relax. So listen, you
You
asked
just cut
whether
me off.
what you asked me is whether Batman's no kill rule could remain coherent and not internally, right? And not only internally, but
Coherent and
also
not
in relation to the broader narrative structure. And the answer to that
externally.
was yes, right? But that does not mean that the proposition becomes true because it works in practice. That's not what that's
No,
saying.
no. Oh my gosh, that's not what I say either. So when I'm talking about something being coherent, I'm just telling you that pragmatism is something that is dealt within coherentism. So there's going to be some sort of
I
connection.
don't care.
So, wow, track then, nigga. You wouldn't have to bring up the point, or I wouldn't
Wait,
have
hold
to
on.
bring up the
Okay,
point.
yeah. Let me
Wait,
respond. Let me
let me
respond.
like,
No,
no,
let
I
me
wasn't
respond. Because you already
finished.
made a point. You're already retrieved. If you're saying, okay, if all you're saying now, relax. If all you're saying now is pragmatism or pragmatic considerations can exist within a coherent system, nobody's denying that. A coherent framework can absolutely include the practical considerations as a part of the network of beliefs and evaluations. That's not controversial at all. The issue is that you kept on speaking as though that's what you kept on doing. You kept on you kept on gesturing towards the presence of pragmatic
You're stupid, bro.
intervention, right? As then somehow that pressures Batman's moral framework or his framework into collapsing
I
externally.
didn't get to get. I didn't get to get.
That's the
I
pressure
didn't.
that's going on.
Wait. You moron. When I first brought up the critique, I didn't get to
You're
finish
getting
my
destroyed and
critique.
you're calling somebody a
No,
moron. It's really
well,
embarrassing. So can
no,
you
you
get a
keep
point
cutting
off,
me
please?
off. Yeah, the point off is the critique is I'm going to ask you to justify one the account of theory of truth that you're adopting here. I just used one as some sort of I guess utility or something in which we can use. I don't really appeal to
Okay,
it.
I got you.
Well, let me
I
no, no,
got you. I
let
got
me
you.
finish. Let me
But you
finish. Let
asked
me
me a
finish.
question. You asked me a question. I'm gonna justify the account
There's
of
a
theory of truth. Can you relax? Calm down.
why are you cutting me
So,
off?
anyways, this
Stop,
is
nigga.
okay.
So
Listen. Why
another thing
should
is going to
okay?
another thing is why is it going
Okay,
to be the case that your stop, bro, stop. You
relax.
cutting me off. Stop. Why is it going to be the
I'm
case that
speaking.
your framework is going?
I'm speaking.
Why
I'm
is
gonna
your
justify the. Are you gonna stop me
why is
from
your framework is
justifying?
going?
Are you gonna justify? Are you gonna stop me from
You
justifying?
you
What's wrong with you? Are you gonna
you're
stop me from
cutting me
justifying?
off. Can you stop?
Are you gonna stop me from justifying? Can
Why
I
do you want
justify?
me to why you want me to show you respect and you not showing me no respect at all?
You don't deserve it because you're garbage. So, anyways,
Can you calm
I'm gonna
down, nigga? You're garbage as hell. You're not responding to anything. You don't know
you're
what you're
getting
talking about.
obliterated. You're getting
So
obliterated.
again,
It's really
where's
bad.
going to be the justification why the framework is going to upheld externally, even if we do accept the theory of truth? I want a justification for that. I don't want you to explain what accounts of justification are you going under? Is it a foundationalist view? So
Okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna respond now. So, anyways,
I
so
wasn't.
why do I have to ask
I
you? Why
was.
do I relax?
I,
Can you relax? Can you
I
relax?
was.
Can you calm down?
I,
You're
I,
literally done. So anyway,
I wasn't. I,
why do I suddenly need a
I,
fully articulated
I,
theory of truth to say that Batman's no
I
kill
wasn't.
rule is internally coherent, right? That's insane escalation in the burden there, right? You're trying to move for evaluating consistency inside a fictional ethical framework to demanding a foundational epistemology of truth itself, right? Those things are different levels of analysis. And this literally just looks like a framework of inflation, right? Instead of even defending the original claim, the original anti no kill position, right? You're trying to force the discussion into some meta epistemological talk because the original entailment really fails. That's the entire point of the question I'm asking with this prompt, right? So anyways, to answer your next question, because I already proposed that question, you're obviously overcomplicating a way smaller claim, and you're trying to act like the absence of a full epistemic architecture somehow even destroys my position. I'd have to ask the argument for that as to why that's even the case, right? I do not need to commit to a full-blown foundationalism or coherentism or infinitism or whatever it may be the case to coherently or consistently maintain the position that Batman's no-kill rule is internally coherent within the narrative, right? And that's a local evaluative claim. That's not a complete epistemological claim or epistemological system, right? You're trying to force an unnecessary transcendental burden onto me, right? You're trying to say, oh, before you can call Batman coherent, justify your global theory of justification. Why should I have to do that, right? What hidden contradiction in Batman's rule depends on settling centuries of epistemology first, right? And honestly, there's none to that. And honestly, this backfires on you because if your standard is to say that every evaluative claim requires a fully articulated account of justification, then your own anti-no-kill rule position, if that's what you're holding, is even worse shaped than mine, right? Because since you still haven't justified why pragmatics outcome determines morality and why harm reduction overrides side constraints and why lethal force becomes obligatory and what epistemically even licenses those moral claims, right? So this isn't a neutral demand that you're trying to give me. It cut both ways. When you're asking me what my theory of justification is, or you're asking me what my theory of truth is, etc. That are like you just keep on saying, "Oh, justify why the framework even survives." It survives because there is no demonstrated contradiction between Batman valuing protection and Batman rejecting execution and Batman maintaining moral side constraints. You still have not shown that those commitments that I've just given you are mutually inconsistent. Now you can respond now.
Oh my gosh. Hopefully he doesn't try to cut me off. So when you're talking about this framework being something in which that is internally consistent, I'm asking for external justification. That is entailing that this external justification is going to be higher order for justification for the framework. So for you to say that the framework is going to be something in which that is internally consistent or coherent is going to be put into question. That's why I brought forth coherentism externally so we can support the framework and the coherentism that is applied within the framework. There needs to be some sort of principle, unless you're going to say that it's going to be some sort of infinite regression. That is completely fine. I don't really care about that. That just entails that none of the proposition.
What is he doing?
Are you stupid? You tried to reject foundationalism. Are you stupid?
I didn't.
So you accept foundationalism?
No.
Thank you, dumbass. So that's just to address that point. It doesn't really matter. The thing is put into question is if the framework internally carries any sort of justification at all. And when you're talking about coherentism seems to be kind of incoherent actually, because when we're talking about a set of propositions, Yo, can you shut up, low tier? Can you shut up, low tier?
Garbage.
Can you shut up, low tier? Can you shut up, low tier?
He's calling anybody a low tier.
Can you shut up, low tier? Can you shut up, low tier? Can you shut up, low tier?
Keep going, bro. Keep going. You have the floor.
Shut up, low tier. Can you shut up, low tier? Can you shut up, low tier? Yeah, shut up, boy. 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 Shut up, boy.
Why is he not going? So I'm gonna mute you since you don't want to go. It's really embarrassing. So I'm gonna respond now. So anyways, you're trying to weaponize epistemology to create skepticism about the framework without actually showing a contradiction in the framework itself, right? You keep on jumping between internal coherence of Batman's ethics and external epistemic justification and coherentism versus foundational and regress problems, right? Those things right there, you think those things merely just invoking those topics destabilizes the position automatically. Why does invoking those things destabilize my position automatically? exactly,
I
right?
just,
The biggest
I
issue
just,
is that you still
I
haven't
just,
explained why
I
a local narrative
I just,
coherence claim
I
requires
just,
a full
I,
resolved anti-regress
I just,
solution before
I
it
just,
can stand,
I,
right? That so
I
you
just,
have to independently
I just,
justify that
I
now,
just,
you dumb
I
fuck.
just,
Because the
I
original
dismissed,
claim
I
was
dismissed,
modest. The original
I
claim I was
dismissed,
given was modest. Is that the Batman's no kill rule is internally coherent
I just,
within his ethical
I just,
structure,
I
right?
dismissed,
So to attack
I
that,
dismissed,
you need to show
I dismissed,
contradiction,
I dismissed, I
inconsistency, and
dismissed,
mutual
I dismissed,
incompatibility,
I dismissed
right?
that, I
So, and
dismissed,
also the failure of entailment.
I
Instead,
dismissed,
all you're doing here is
I
just
dismissed,
what you're
I
asking me what
dismissed,
externally
I
justifies
dismissed,
coherence
I
itself,
dismissed,
right? But now
I dismissed,
you're
I
no
dis,
longer critiquing Batman's
I
moral
dis,
framework
I dis,
specifically. You're just
I
launching a
dis,
general
I,
epistemological critique
I,
against coherentist
I dis,
justification
I
structures, and
dismissed,
that's the
I
completely
dismissed,
different debate. We're not
I
having
dis,
that debate. You
I
absolutely
dis,
don't.
I dismissed that. Oh my god. When I'm talking about the framework, I'm talking about Batman specifics framework. You, oh my god, you dummy. So I'm talking about the framework and the moral commitments within the framework. You moron. That includes the analytics, the rules, and the propositions that are true within the framework. Under your framework, the things and actions that he do is going to be considered permissible under the framework. I'm asking for justification on why that framework is going to be something in which is consistent. You would say that it's consistent given the analytics and the analytics following some sort of the analytics means some sort of a priori for the priors within the I guess within the framework. However, I'm putting into question the rules. I don't accept the rules. I don't think the rules is coherent. I don't think there seems to be some sort of reasons on why they would be logically consistent. You keep trying to put this burden on me to explain why it's going to be something in which that exists a contradiction within the framework, but I don't need to do that. You is the one that need to justify why the proposition is going to be something in which that is logically consistent. When analyzing a proposition, is justify whether there wouldn't be some sort of contradiction under your point. These are commitments that you have under your framework. Stop putting the burden on me. So one, I don't know what you were saying. If the whole entire framework is inconsistent, there seems to be no compatibility. It's going to be incompatible. So another point is to say that when we're talking
Why?
about analytics is not going to be something in which that is going to be justifying any sort of proposition. I rejected justifying any sort of proposition. I reject the conditional within analytics. So what is it going to be, or analytical truths? So what is going to be the justification for the framework?
He's so garbage. Yo, listen. Yo, this is. Anyway, so let me respond to you very, very shortly. Like, this is really bad. You were like the worst debater I've seen in my life. So anyways, you're completely reversing the burden and you're just pretending that skepticism right there alone, by skepticism by itself, counts as a defeater. You do not get to say you do not get to say that you reject the rules and that you reject the analytics and you reject the conditionals and then act like the framework collapses automatically just because you said those things. That's not an argument, you fucking donut. That's just withholding the assent there, right? If your claim is that Batman's framework is inconsistent, then yes, you absolutely do inherit a burden to identify the contradiction or incompatibility. Otherwise, you're just asserting incoherence without demonstration at all, right? And notice how you keep on sliding between three different things. You keep on sliding between justification of the framework and truth of the framework and internal logical consistency of the framework. Those things are not identical. A framework can be internally consistent without being objectively true and without possessing ultimate epistemic justification. You keep on collapsing all three different categories together. Your analytics objection, when you object to analytics there, it doesn't land at all because nobody said analytic truths magically justify every proposition. The point was much narrower than that. It's saying that Batman's commitment can coherently relate to one another without contradiction. That's it. So for example, Batman believes killing exceeds his moral authority, and Batman believes justice requires restraint, and Batman believes becoming an executioner specifically corrupts his mission, and Batman also believes that and Batman also aims to protect Gotham specifically, right? And those propositions are not logically incompatible merely because you dislike them or you reject the priors. You still need to show that the statement X commitment entails not Y commitment, right? That's what you need to show, and you have not done that. You have not done that even once. Instead, all you keep on saying is that you reject the analytics. I'm asking you, why do you reject the analytics, you fucking idiot? Where is the contradiction? Where's the incompatibility? Where does Batman's framework formally negate itself? Because right now, your entire stance in this debate is just literally just saying, unless you provide ultimate justificatory grounding, coherence claim fails. But that standard there specifically it just destroys basically every normative framework equally, including your own criticism. And literally the funniest part is that your position literally here is just silently relying on the exact logical consistency standard that you're attacking. So the second that you accuse Batman's framework of incompatibility, you're already presupposing principles of consistency and inferential evaluation yourself. So obviously, you can't just vaguely reject analytics while simultaneously making incompatibility claims through analytic evaluation. If that is what you're doing is in rejecting this prompt, when the question is also say what's wrong with Batman's no kill rule, the burden is on you, dumb fuck.
Do 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 do. Oh, it's so bad for you. So one, when we're talking about justification and we're talking about theories of truth, when we're talking about truth, when we're talking about your framework being true internally, that seems to be talking about truth. Yes, it's a difference between talking about truth externally and from talking about truth internally, but it seems to be kind of a question bag if we talk about truth internally, if the internal framework is being brought into question, you dumbass. That doesn't go. That goes circular, and you can uphold to any theory of truth. Theories of truth refers or are derived from epistemological frameworks, things of that sort, and justification too. So I don't know what you're talking about. Unless you're using something that's different, that's completely fine. I can use a counterfactual in which I'm not committed to put into question on the things that you're upholding to. That's what I've been doing this whole entire time. So when you're asking me to justify these types of burdens, I'm not going to need to justify these burdens because these are propositions that I'm not committed to. Secondly, there wouldn't be some sort of contradiction within analytics because one, all I'm saying is that when we're having analytics, we're not changing the subject, but we're rather just saying that the subject and or how we talk about the subject predicate relation can be altered given evidence. That's all I'm saying. The subject isn't going to be changed. Epistemological, bro. Look at this dork. Look at this dork, bro. Like,
You're getting absolutely manhandled. This is really bad for you. So
you're a low tier. You're a low tier. For the dude in chat, epistemology.
Yo, you're horrible. So you're done talking, right? So you're done talking, right? So anyways, I'm gonna respond now. So anyways, I'm gonna respond.
I'm not. I don't need.
So anyways, you're gonna need me to respond because I have to help you. I have to amp you up. So anyways, I have to amp you up because you're like really this garbage.
I'm not.
Oh my god, you're like so garbage. It hurts. It hurts me. It hurts me that I'm doing this to you. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry, Sonny.
I'm not done.
I'm very sorry, Sonny.
I'm not.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, Sonny? Are you okay, Sonny? Are you okay, Sonny?
I'm not.
Are you okay, Sonny?
I'm not.
Are you okay, Sonny?
I'm not done. I'm not done.
Are you okay, Sonny? Like, what was wrong with you? I said you're done because we were talking about somebody else. Anyways, all you just did there in your response was literally just layered jargon over an absent contradiction, and you're just pretending the density there itself is pressure. That's really bad. Your entire debate stance here is literally is collapsing into the framework's internal truth claims are question begging unless externally justified. That's literally what you said. So let's say okay to that. But right, Batman's framework was I never defended it as some universal self-grounding epistemic system in the first place, right? It was defended as internally coherent. You keep on conflating coherent with epistemically ultimate. Those things are not the same claim at all, not identical. And when you're saying I'm question begging, you keep on accusing me of question begging. You're charging me with question begging, right? That literally fails because there's no circular inference being used to establish the rule, right? I'm not arguing that Batman's no kill rule is correct because Batman's no kill rule is correct. The claim that I'm making is Batman's commitments do not logically negate one another. That is the claim. You absolute donut brain moron. That is the claim. What I'm claiming, that is just a consistent claim. That's not a transcendental proof of moral truth at all. And when you keep on saying you can criticize propositions without committing to alternative, that is literally partially true. I'm fine with that being partially true. Yes, local skepticism is possible, but the second you would start asserting incompatibility and unjustified analytics and the failure of coherence and question begging structures that you're charging me with all of these things, you need to identify the actual inferential failure that you're charging me with, right? And you still have not done that. That's what I'm asking you to do. You keep on saying that the framework is brought into question. By what contradictions specifically is it brought into question, you fucking donuts? Name the propositions and show the incompatibility and demonstrate the inferential collapse that you're charging me with. Because right now you're just doing some form of framework skepticism in the abstract without even ever actually touching the actual structure of Batman's ethics. The analytics, the analytics things we're talking about here, literally, I don't even know why you mentioned analytics. You started drifting between, we're not changing the subject without even finishing the entailment. There's no actual argument there yet, right? And the strongest response here is just simply to say that, oh, I can literally just say that, oh, you keep on invoking epistemology and epistemology globally because you can't isolate a contradiction locally. That is the entire issue that you are having because your brain is fucking mush. You dumbass. Batman's framework can still be internally coherent even if you personally reject foundationalism, coherentism, analytic justification, and correspondence truth theory. Why can't it be if you reject those things, right? Because none of those things, none of those rejections specifically automatically produce a contradiction among Batman's actual commitments. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie. If you question that, bro, if you say some garbage shit, I'm just gonna interrupt you.
You don't know anything about. So when you're talking about analytics, one, the analytics is going to be something in which that does cause some sort of inconsistency if you